Hey everybody, this is Sarah Harnish, Young Living Diamond, and I'm the author of the Game Plan book, which you guys know about. Game Plan is the complete strategy guide to go from starter kit to silver, but that's not what tonight is about. I'm really excited to kick off a brand new book called Ignite. It's actually called The Essential Game Plan, Ignite Your Business in 2 hours. This is what it looks like. And we've never done a boot camp on this before. So if you missed being the inaugural class for the Game Plan Boot Camp, which really started a movement across all of Young Living, something that was just completely unstoppable, and the fire and momentum from that book, it's still even 2.5 years out, is changing people's lives. And that's because of you guys. It's because of your sharing and your fire and your excitement. But, as I've kind of gleaned from the different mingle groups and watched the posts and been at book signing lines and heard where you guys have been, there seems to have been kind of a slowdown of the momentum and of the fire. And so I'm really excited to announce that I actually have 2 books coming out for convention. One of them is Ignite, which we just launched. It already went to #1 on Amazon, but it did it so fast I didn't get to see it. So you guys have to do it again for me, okay? Because it happened at like 5 in the morning and I woke up and it said #1 bestseller on the book, and I never got to see it. So it's going to take you guys sharing with your teams for it to hit #1 again. But today it was in the 40s, actually 30s. It was in the 30s in the business charts, which is huge. That's huge. That's like massive, because, to have a Young Living book in that circle is pretty incredible. That's the entrepreneur charts. It's dominated mainly by men. There's just a handful of women on the charts anywhere. And so that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. So what is Ignite? Like, what is going on, and what is this new book, and what is the other new book that I'm coming out with? I'm going to save the cover of that book for the very last night of Ignite Boot Camp, which I'm really excited about. But that one is the very famous Unstuck that I talked about in Boot Camp over a year ago. It's been a 2-year project. And if you've been watching my posts, I know thousands and thousands of you have provided prayer cover over the last 24 hours, and that means the world to me when I'm putting a book together. So thank you. Thank you for your deep love of me. Thank you for your really deep love of the product that we work so hard to put out to help all of Team Young Living. Like, we do what we do because of you guys. It's not possible without you and without your prayers. So I'm going to save Unstuck for the very end of Ignite Boot Camp. So if you want to hear more about that one, make sure you're on for day 15. But this week and next week and the week after, we're focusing specifically on Ignite. So these 2 books serve 2 very different purposes. Unstuck, which will be out for convention, is about you're just stuck. You're not having kit sales, you're no-show classes, you're frustrated, you plateaued, you've lost momentum, you're losing OGV, you don't know how to turn that around. That's what Unstuck's about, and it's coming. It's coming. We are so close in the launch of that book. So Ignite is a little bit of a different beast. This one is for duplication. You guys have asked me for a tool that's affordable. You've asked me for something where you can train a leader very quickly and get them off the ground and not overwhelm them. They don't have a lot of worksheets they got to fill out, no 12 hours of boot camp to watch. It's just very simple for people that just have their toe dipped in and they're not maybe fully into the business. And that's what this is. I told you yesterday, I actually got approached 3 times. God's got to hit me 3 times to get my attention on stuff. But I got approached 3 different times on Ignite. One of them was the Royal Crown Diamond that came right in my front door. And then the second time was a post on Diamond Chat. And then the third time was just this dairy farmer sitting in my kid's audition for a show. And she said, if you could train me quickly, I would do this. I would do this business, but I'm working 80 hours a week. And Sarah, I love Game Plan. I've watched it from a distance for a while, but I just can't commit to 350 pages and a 120-page workbook and, 12 bootcamp videos. So I'm kind of overloaded right now. And if you had a very simple system that I could do in between milk and cows, then I would do that. Right? I would do that. And so that's how Ignite was birthed. I wanted you to have something that was very cheap, very affordable, that you could use to duplicate leaders, because you duplicate leaders, that's the power in your organization. You can go out and teach until you're blue in the face, but it's going to take you a long time to build a diamond if you're the only one on your team building. The way that you get that power of momentum going is through duplication, through the power of duplication and, doubling the number of enrollers on your team. And so that's why this book is so helpful. So helpful. So I need Unstuck. Can we get it if we can't go to convention? I will be releasing Unstuck in the fall, but we are doing an aroma sharing exclusive release on Unstuck. And there's a really good chance we might sell out of that book on Tuesday. It runs Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you have a choice on which ticket you're going to get, maybe Tuesday. If your flight gets in soon enough, pop in then, because I don't know if we're going to have any left for Wednesday. I'm going to try really hard. We'll try to hold a few of them back for the Wednesday goers. But if you can only get tickets Wednesday, definitely get there Wednesday morning. This is a beta release of Unstuck. So that means there's going to be grammar mistakes in it. We've already vetted it twice for grammar, but it takes like 7 months in grammar to have a really good, strong book without a lot of mistakes in it. And so it's a beta release. We're doing it only for convention. Then we're going to finish vetting the book, and then we'll release it later this fall. So the answer is no. If you're not at convention, I won't have that one quite yet, but we will within a couple months after convention. All right? So I'm going to turn all my attention now to Ignite, because this is a powerful tool. Right now on Amazon, it's about $7 to get a book on Prime. When we release this in bulk, which I'm really excited to say that we are going to do that on my website on the very last day of Bootcamp. So we were going to wait until convention started, but we're going to do it early for all of our Bootcamp goers, just as a thank you to you guys. And so in bulk on the website, they're going to be $5. So that means you can train 20 leaders. You take 20 leaders with you for $100, right? And you're training them inside out, upside down. And it is such a powerful, thorough training. So 15 days. Are you in it to win it? Are you going to hang out with me all 15 days? Do you think we can do it? We're going to go Monday through Friday this week. So it's going to be in place of Roundtable tomorrow night, and then next Tuesday and the week after. We take Saturday and Sunday off, and then we'll be back at it again next Monday. And we're going to be working our way through this little tiny book. And I want you to see how small this thing is. I'm going to flip this around. This is the Ignite book. It's a picture of a pawn with the shadow of a king behind it, because that's who you are, right? And sometimes we don't see ourselves with our potential and what we're capable of. But, when I look at you guys, this is what I see are the diamonds rising that are out there. So seeing that potential in your leaders. This book is smaller than my hand. So it looks like I'm holding a really big book in my hand, but I'm really not. It's smaller than my hand. It's a tiny book. Now, it's definitely not as small as Fearless and the mini, so you are getting a full comprehensive training. It's about 160 pages, but a third of that book is 2 scripts. So not 1 script, but 2 scripts. So for the very first time, I'm releasing the Thieves script, which we were holding on to for Unstuck, but we released it early. So it's in, both of these scripts are in the back of the Ignite book. The book itself is about 120 pages, and so back to back, you're looking at about a 60-page book. We ran it through 3 different test groups of blue personalities, and the average read time on this was about 42 minutes. So it's a very quick read. It's not a heavy lift. What I did was I took the elements of game plan and I simplified them so that it was not overwhelming to new business builders. So people that are dipping their toe in, this book is not going to scare your new leaders away. For $5, you can have them totally trained, scripts in their hand, launching their business that night. And it's super simple, super cheap, super affordable, no workbook. They do not have to do this boot camp to read the book and start their business. Okay. So it's very simple. So what can you expect with this? These are very short chapters because I wanted to keep it concise. So most of the chapters in this book are 1 to 2 pages long. And there's a couple that are 6 pages, but they're pretty short. When I'm doing boot camp, I'm going to try to keep our boot camp videos to 30 minutes or less. Although if we are having a really special moment together, I might go a little bit longer, right? Boot camp is designed for you guys. It's designed for the leaders to learn how to use this as a tool for training your incoming people, right? You can use it for brand new leaders that just come to classes. They get the game plan mini. They're like, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about this. You can use it for them. You can use it for somebody who's stagnant, who maybe hit star and is held star. Maybe they signed 2 people and they haven't signed anybody. We call them like those one-kit leader wonders, right? There's a lot of uses for the book. So it's not necessarily just for people that have no exposure to the business. It's for people that just, they haven't really gotten it off the ground yet, right? So what exactly is Ignite? What exactly is this book? It's 121 pages total. So game plan is 350 pages. If you look at this, and Unstuck is going to be well over 300 pages. These are big books. All right. They're really, really big books with a lot of research. Like Game Plan took me a very long time to research. Unstuck has been almost 2 years of collecting research. I'm not throwing that much at your budding leader. We don't want to totally like knock them off their feet so that they run screaming from the business and they're afraid to build. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do, right? So Game Plan is a 350 page book, 120 page workbook, and a 12-day boot camp with 30-minute videos, 30 to like 45-minute videos. That's a lot for somebody who's dipping their toe in the water and they're not really sure whether or not they want to build. So you want to give them more than a flyer, on the business, and the mini they can read in literally 15 minutes. So you want to give them a little bit more than just the income disclosure guide, but there wasn't really anything out there. We had Game Plan, which is for full-on leaders, star, senior star, executive, building all the way to silver, silver plus, or you have nothing. Right? Nothing that's Young Living specific. So I was asked to take the material in Game Plan and simplify it, right? So that it doesn't scare your leaders off. So instead of 250 pages plus 120 page workbooks, or 350 pages, you're looking at 470 pages of content plus 12 videos. All of that is gone, and it's a 60 page Ignite book instead. I consolidated that like 470 pages down into 60 pages. So, and then we end Ignite with the Ignite Challenge. And what is the Ignite Challenge? The challenge is to go read the book and then teach your first class that night to a friend or to a family member. You're going to grab the script, you're going to read through it a couple of times while you're reading the book, and then you're going to grab your mom, you're going to grab your best friend. Even if you just pick up the phone and you read it to them over the phone, you're going to teach your very first class that night so that you can see, hey, I can do this. Like, this really actually isn't that scary to sit down and talk to people about oils. It's not something that I need to be afraid of. And the goal is to get your leaders sharing. All right, it's to get them out there. One of my favorite tools, if you guys don't have this on your phone, you definitely should absolutely download it, is Oily Tools. So it kind of looks like this. If I go into the app, the second button is a stat button, and it's going to tell you all of your statistics for your team. And one of the numbers that it gives you is the number of enrollers on your team. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's a top. So right now we've had 73 enrollers on the team. So I'm probably going to end the month with maybe 150 to 200 people on my team that are selling a starter kit. So if they sell 6 kits in 1 month, it only counts them one time. It's the number of people you have enrolling on your team. If you can double that number, you will double and or triple your OGV. Okay, that is the biggest single factor in Oily Tools as to your growth. So more than anything else, you're watching your OGV, you're watching your percentages for Central Awards, you're looking at your number of stars and all that. Actually, the most important number in the whole thing, the whole program, is how many people do you have selling starter kits every single month, right? If you could double that number, then your OGV goes, whoa. It is the fastest way to spike your OGV in Young Living, is to double the number of enrollers. That's where this comes in. Okay, that's where Ignite comes in. So if you plateaued, train your leaders, right? Train your leaders. And this is something very simple that you can do with them as a team. So if you want, they can hop on this boot camp and they can do it with me live for the next 3 weeks. We are saving every single one of these videos. So starting tomorrow, you'll start seeing them popping up on my website under the Ignite button, and you can click on them and you can use those on your team pages. They're free. We never ever charge for this kind of stuff. You can lead your own. You can do it in a week. If you want to cover 3 chapters a night, they're pretty short chapters. You can challenge your team to read the book and then have a big, huge Zoom call and do a Q&A on it, or hit on some of the chapters you think are the deepest or the most important, or do a roundtable style where you take questions. There's so many ways to utilize Ignite with your team, but the point is to get them reading the thing, getting out there and teaching in class that night, and doubling and tripling the number of enrollers on your team so that you double and triple your OGV. If you get your leaders out there sharing oils, you will see OGV growth. Okay, and this is a $5 tool. This is 1/4 of the price of Game Plan. We have literally just shrunk the whole thing up so it's not overwhelming, super duplicatable, super cheap, super affordable, and yeah, so super excited for you guys. So that's what Ignite is, the goal to get your leaders sharing, right? And if we can get them sharing, you guys have the most powerful tool of all, which is duplication, right? We give them the scripts and we give them the know-how on how to blow this thing up. So what are we going to be covering over the course of over the next 3 weeks? We're going to cover just this 1 week, how to share. That's my first chapter. So in Game Plan, it's a little different. We start with the why, right? With this book, I went super red. on your leaders, right? I'm like, no, we're not going to talk frilly, fruffy wise. I just want you to teach a class. Like, let's just teach a class. It's like the college student, right, who's 18 years old, 19 years old, or even 20 years old that hasn't picked their college major yet, right? You don't always know what your why is when you're first starting. I mean, maybe it is to get your oils for free. Maybe it really is you got a Royal Crown Diamond hiding inside there and you just don't even know it. Yeah, you're not even aware of it yet. You may not even know it until you hit gold. I didn't know until I was between gold and platinum that I was running all the way for this thing. So, I didn't start the book with a why. I started the book with how to share, because I want to get them out there doing the activity that's going to give them the paycheck, that's going to give them the vision that causes them to keep going, right? So we just hit it from the very, very, very beginning, the very get-go. We're going to cover that tomorrow night. Then what classes look like. How do you find people? Where are our people, right? It's a little tease of Unstuck. How to close. And then some of the most powerful writing ever put together on Essential Rewards. You are not going to want to miss Friday this week, because it's going to be one of the best videos out of the entire Ignite Bootcamp. That's all this week. So just that stuff is this week. Classes, how to find people, how to close. You see this book moves very, very fast, right? Then over the next 2 weeks, some of the other topics. What if they're not listening to me? Not giving up. That's something that we haven't hit on very heavily. Excuses and the legacy of Gary Young, because most of our teams have never met Gary. Right? They don't even know who he is. They've never seen him speak at convention, and they've never seen him in person. They haven't hit silver and seen him speak at a silver retreat. The majority of our teams are Gary-less. So we have to bring Gary to them. And so we're going to do that. We're going to train on the legacy of Gary Young. So from the very, very beginning, not only we're training on seed to seal and purity of Young Living and what makes this company so amazing, but we're also training on the founders. So your brand new builders are getting a little background into Gary Young and who he was, right? That's a very, very powerful chapter. Also going to give a checklist of income producing activities, which I've never done before. So if you're a box checker and you just need, okay, I do what, you're going to really love the end of Ignite. It's very, very different from anything I've done in Game Plan, and so many more things. Yes, you will absolutely be able to go back and see these videos again. I'm going to be collecting them on my website. So we don't have them up there yet because this is the very first night of Ignite. But let me go over to the website and I'll show you. So if I flip this around, this is the website, oilabilityteam.com. You see we got Ignite right up on the front page because it's launching like tonight. This is the night that we prepared the last 6 months for. It's all happening right now. If you click on the image to learn a little bit more, it's going to take you to the Ignite page. This one you can train a leader in 2 hours flat and then have them launch their business that night. So right now it's only available on Amazon. If you want to do the boot camp, snag it on Amazon, pull your teams through it with the book on Amazon. And if you click there, it's going to take you right there. There's a little video that tells you a little bit more about Ignite, and then there's some sample pages so that you can see the inside, see the table of contents, and take a look at it. Right underneath that, it's not there yet because we're about to add it in, but right underneath that is going to be all the Bootcamp Ignite videos collected in one spot. So all 15 plus the preview night that we did last night, and then the next 2 Tuesdays after Bootcamp, I'm going to shoot the 101 class and show you how I do a 101 class online, and then I'm also going to shoot the Thieves class for the very first time the following 2 Tuesdays after the Ignite Bootcamp is done. So we got a really, really fun couple of weeks together. If you don't have your book yet, do not even stress it. On Prime, it gets here in 2 days, right? So just snag it, jump in, enjoy the training. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have an amazing, amazing 3 weeks together. We're going to energize your teams, right? So that's what to expect as far as the topics and things we'll be covering. It's a little bit different than Game Plan. Some of the content you're going to notice is very similar to Game Plan because I consolidated some of that information like excuses and the VO and some other things. But there's a lot of stuff in here that's quite new as well in how I approach it, because as you grow as a leader, there are other things that are more important to you, right? And you grow into different levels of leadership. And John and I are now almost crown diamonds. We're right on the edge of that rank. And we've learned a lot in the 2.5 years since we released Game Plan on what leads to income growth and what will slow you down, right? So we're going to start right away with the classes with your team. So we're going to go Monday to Friday this week, Saturday, Sunday off, Monday to Friday the next week, Saturday, Sunday off, Monday to Friday the last week, Saturday, Sunday off. Then the Tuesday following, I'll teach the 101 class script from the back of the book, and the Tuesday after that, I'll teach the 102 class from the back of the book. If you want to grab the Ignite book, you can find it right now on Amazon, either by clicking on the link on my website or just going directly to Amazon. If you want to give me a little love, that shows people that you enjoy the book, that you like what you see. It's a blessing to me if you leave a review. And everything that you need is right here. It is in stock. It's $7. It's not going to break the bank. And all the background, everything is right there on that page. So fire. Yeah, it's fire time. Fire time for your teams. So we're going to start with the introduction and the front matter. If you popped on the preview night last night, I asked you guys to read the intro and the front matter. We're going to cover the first chapter tomorrow. So if you don't have your book yet, not a big deal, right? Not a big deal at all. I'm going to pop right into the introduction, which is right after the table of contents. So if you're following along, we're on page 9. I don't do a lot of reading directly out of the book, but these first two are pretty powerful, so I'm just going to share a couple of snippets from them. I want you to see what your brand new business builder is going to see the minute that they open the book and where this book takes them as far as relating to the places that they're at. So I'm just going to read for a moment right out of page 9, which is the introduction to the book. You're not completely sure what a Young Living business is, and you absolutely do not want to sell to your friends. You know what that feels like. Yet you feel a tug toward oils because you believe in kicking poison out of your home and replacing it with natural products. You've seen what oils have done to your friends' homes, and you believe in them, but you can't afford them. Maybe you're starting simply from a place where this little book is your first introduction to Young Living. You're unfamiliar with the oils, but you do need some extra income in your home. If it grew into something crazy like a diamond income, the opportunity would change everything for your family, but you'd be happy with even a little. Things are tight, stress is high, you need relief. The pressure valve must be released because you feel like you're drowning. You've been subsistence living for far too long, and each paycheck is gone before it ever even makes it to your savings account. You have an interest in this, but you truly don't have time. Your plate is overflowing, and if you're going to learn how to do this, you got to learn it fast. You can't watch 50 videos and do hundreds of hours of training. You don't have money to invest. You've got babies at home, you've got work that's time consuming, you've got limited income, and nothing else will fit in that very small space. You feel that you have little to give, and you need a high yield for your time. You may not be any of those categories. You might be the weary builder that knows that you want this. You're the one that's tried over and over and you're overwhelmed. You've been sitting at the same rank month after month after month, and you don't see any reprieve and any relief. You need something simple to understand how to do this without all the bells and the whistles. You need a system, and you need to get leaders off the ground ready to launch in a single afternoon. You need them to catch the passion, take action, and run. You need self-starters. You're holding the answer to all of those questions in your hands right now. You've been heard. In this little tiny book, I'm going to walk you through how I did this and how the diamonds before me pulled it off. It all comes down to just 5 words, okay? 6 words. I'm not good at math. 6 words. Loving people and not giving up. If I had to summarize a whole 100 pages of this book, it'd be loving people and not giving up, right? If I can train you in that small space, then we're going to grow together. And you can build something that's going to bless your family for generations. You can build a willable income that can be left to them so that they don't have to walk the road of exhaustion that you have walked, right? You don't have to leave that legacy for your family. You can leave a legacy of freedom. I'm not going to hand you fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish, and it's going to happen quickly. You're going to be fully trained on the basics. If you're just reading through this book by tonight, obviously if you're doing the boot camp, we'll be trained in 3 weeks. But if you're reading through the book by yourself today, you'll be trained in 1 afternoon. And if you're going to use this to train a leader, you can get them off the ground and ready to launch their business just in a few hours. This book is a powerhouse. It is all the critical pieces of the game plan book in miniature form. Best of all, you're not going to sell to anyone. You're going to teach them how to care for their families. You're an educator, and every single family that you touch will have their lives forever changed for the better. Right? So start by peeking at the income disclosure guide. That disclosure statement is going to tell you where this goes. This Ignite book is hardcore Young Living business training, nuts and bolts style that's going to get you on that chart. So if you rinse and you repeat the book consistently without distractions or excuses, you've got all the things that you need to go through the first 4 ranks in Young Living and beyond. So are you ready? Here we go. Right? Here we go. And the first thing I'm going to do is, if you got the book, you can open up, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a bigger one. We're going to look at the income disclosure guide for Young Living and just kind of walk through it, because it's one of the first things that you see when you, when you open the book. So I'm going to flip flip my camera around and show you what I'm looking at. This is the income disclosure guide from Young Living. If we just scroll down and we look at it, distributor, it's about 33% of everybody building in Young Living, and the average annual income is $312. A star, their average income is $906 a year. So the average income for a star monthly is $75. Senior star is $235 a month. The average executive is about $502 a month. The average silver, $2,088 a month. $2,088. I don't know about you guys, but that's where I was after 8.5 years of college and 22 years of anchoring news, right? Gold, $5,666 a month. This is according to the income disclosure. The average platinum in Young Living, $13,872 a month. That's $166,000 a year. Platinum. Diamonds make about $35,000 a month, and that's $424,000 a year. Crown diamonds make $64,000 a month on average at $773,000 a year. And royal crown diamonds are averaging $144,000 a month, or $1.7 million a year. All right, $1.7 million. Yeah, I know that the version that we've got in the book is a little hard to read, so we're going to be pulling it out and updating it, so it's a little bit simpler to read. But I want you to know that that's what your leaders are going to see. They're going to take a look at that income disclosure guide and say, okay, like, all right, this is worth fighting for. This is worth taking it a little bit farther, right? A little bit farther maybe than what I was planning on doing. So then I have a little intro, and this is a chapter I actually added in right after the beta because of your guys' feedback. I figure you've heard my story over and over and over and over and over again. You do not need to hear it in Game Plan and in Ignite and in the mini and in Bootcamp. You're probably getting sick of hearing my story. But when we put the group out to demos, they said, hey, it's all nuts and bolts and not a lot of heart. Would you just pause and share just a little bit, for these people that really have not had any exposure to that? And so I put a chapter together called Fighting When You Have No Fight. And this is before chapter 1. So we're going to start chapter 1 tomorrow. So your homework assignment is to read the 2 we went over tonight and then also chapter 1 for tomorrow. And I gave a different picture when I was sitting out in the projects. Here we go. Whoop, I put that on my face again. This is one that I haven't shared with you guys, but this is right outside the front door of the projects. And we had 4 of our 5 kids. The 5th one had not been born yet. A nice metal door and our roof peeling and our numbers falling off and just dirt for a front yard, no grass and cinder block walls on the inside of the house and tile floors and cockroaches all over the place. And it was row housing. And this is the projects in Dixon, Illinois that the kids and I lived in. And I just remember being so happy not to live with my parents. I was super, super excited not to be living in their space anymore, that I would have taken the projects over anything. I think it's neat how God just gives you this grateful spirit no matter where you are, right? He just gives you this place where, I don't know, where you pause and you say, all right, God, you know what? I'm going to go through this with joy. I'm going to go through this with a heart of gladness. Maybe I don't like the fact that there's cockroaches on the floor where I live, but I'm really grateful for this, this, and this. And so this is just something that I wanted to share with your leaders as we open up Ignite. And I'm going to read to you a little bit again, all right? Your story may be so much worse than mine. Your feet may have scaled mountains and your hands worked so hard that I can't even imagine the places that you have been. My journey is really, really small compared to most people. And I know because I've heard your stories in the book signing lines. My desire and my strategy for sharing my journey is just to shine a little bit of hope on you. Because without hope, there's no movement. There's no dreaming and there's no way out. I'm not going to promise you that any network marketing company is going to make you rich. I'm not going to promise you early retirement and cars and vacations. I am going to tell you that with the right type of hard work, concentrated, strategic relationship building, that this can turn you the other direction. And at the very least, you're going to have a head and a heart full of ideas and a lot of momentum and an idea of the way out. And at most, it can go as far as you want it to go, even all the way to Royal Crown Diamond. I can count on one hand the number of things that have truly changed the course of my life. My Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, my precious husband and my kids and my friends and my mentors and my family and Young Living. You see, I lived in poverty for 12 years when I was in Illinois, and half of those years were in the projects. And the photo that I just showed you, that was from my time there with 4 of my 5 kids. There were cockroaches walking along the floors as we were sleeping, and cinder block walls. My very first radio job that I had, which was while I was living in the projects, my take-home pay was $21 a month. I worked every other Saturday. And so I had to keep my job at the deli, and then I worked at the radio station when I was not working at the deli. There were many, many nights that we went to bed with our jackets on because our power got shut off, and I could see my breath as I slept. And so all the kids would huddle around me in the bed, and we would try to keep each other warm. There were days that the food pantry was out of food, and we lived on chocolate pudding. You know, that was all that we had. We had to go eat whatever it was that they gave us. And that was my day in, day out, with no way out. I looked at my kids and I wanted better for them. I wanted a better life for them, but I didn't have any idea on how to get there. I lived check to check from the time that I was 19 years old when I got married until I was 39. That's 2 years ago, right? Scrambling, stumbling, and surviving. Just surviving. Maybe you guys are in a place where you're just surviving, and that's okay. The just surviving spot is still a good place to start, right? It's still a good place. So what if I were to tell you, though, that you don't need to stay there? What if I were to tell you that if you could learn the art of telling your story with passion and meeting people's needs and loving on them where they are, that simple act of getting over fear and loving people can build something totally amazing? Young Living was a lot of work. It took me 288 classes to get to Diamond, and I had no network to pull from. I didn't know a lot of people because I'd moved 750 miles from my hometown, but I believed in oils. I saw the oils work, and I know that people want a way of taking care of their families that does not include poisonous ingredients. And I knew that if I could meet people in that place, that this might go somewhere. Maybe I'd get some oils for free, and maybe I'd get to freedom, right? Both of those have happened for me, and I'm never going to look back. My life in the projects is over forever, forever. I share my past with you because I think that we forget to dream. We give up, we get overwhelmed, we get exhausted, and we watch life instead of living life. At worst, you're going to read this book and you're going to draw a goal in the sand. You're going to draw that line and you're going to stake your stick in the sand and draw a goal. And at best, it's going to be a life-changing course correction for you. So when you get to a place where you're so broken and you're so lost, sometimes it's really hard to see your way out. I remember that space like it was yesterday, and I want so much more for you. You're at a fork in the road. You're staring at two completely different streets. Somebody has placed Ignite in your hands because they believe very deeply in you. They want to invest in you, and they've seen where this can go if you roll up your sleeves, and they want better for you, but nothing happens until you dream and you see it first. You got to see it. So let's start in that place together. No expectations, just big dreams. It's always safe to dream, because when you dream and you forget to plan and you forget to dream, then your feet just stay stuck in the miry mud. And the only way out is to move. So this book is going to train you on exactly what I did to break free. Will our paths look the same? Perhaps not, but perhaps so, right? Perhaps so. I can promise you one thing. If you stay where you are, you're going to have the same list of frustrations 10 years from now, and everything's going to remain unchanged. We still have our house from before we moved into our Diamond home. It's 25 minutes from here. I still go back there and I still walk through it, and I look at it and I look at the walls, and I look at where we lived, and I'm so thankful that I said yes. I'm so thankful that I didn't give up, that I didn't quit, right? Here's the thing. I believe that this is not a year of the same old for you. This is a year of hope for you. This is the year of dreaming big and action to match the dreams. Do not forget that you are worthy of the crown, right? You're worthy of the crown. So take my hand. We're going to do this together. It is so worth the work. All right, so worth the work. And that dumps us right at chapter 1, which is script, kit, human. We're gonna go right into the nuts and bolts of this thing tomorrow, which I'm super, super, super excited. But I just, I hope that you can feel the hope oozing out, and I hope that this is a really, really strong tool for you to give those business builders, that they just turn to you and say, okay, all right, you're right. I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to move, or let's do this together. Like, I will open my home. I will get people to my house, and I'm going to learn how to blow this thing up. I'm going to learn how to do it because I want it for myself, not because I want it for you, but because I believe that I am capable and that I am able, right? I'm capable, and I'm able. So, yeah. Two themes in the book, right? Loving people and not giving up. If I had to pick two qualities of Gary Young, those would be the first two things that I would have picked to describe him. He wouldn't just hand you fish, right? Gary is the guy that would have taught you how to fish. And so the goal is that when you use this tool, you've got your leaders fully trained and they are the ones doing the teaching. It's not you, it's them, right? It's them. It all comes down to them. So your homework for today was to read the intro and the front matter, Fighting When You Have No Fight. And if you haven't read it yet, it's okay. Go grab it off Amazon and dig in. Tomorrow we're going to tackle chapter 1. So if you need to read all 3, that's totally okay. They're just a couple of pages. It's quick. But I'm going to end with a really quick story just on comfort zones. All right, really, really quick story on comfort zones. And then we're going to wrap up. I'm going to pray over you for our first night of boot camp. And then I will see you tomorrow night, 8:30, right? Same bat time, same bat channel. And we're going to do this together. We'll have 1 day down out of 15. I want to tell you the story of when I quit radio. I only told it one time before, and it's a pretty powerful story. So most of you guys know that I've been in radio for 22 years. So here's a couple of pictures of me. That's my hair all diced off, and that's at a remote broadcast. Here's a picture of me and one of the morning show hosts, and this is me filling in. This is after I retired. My kids grew up in radio, so that's my oldest son who's 20 and has his second daughter coming in a couple of weeks. I'm about to be a grandma twice. And this is my baby girl who just graduated high school. Super, super excited. This is another shot of me in the newsroom. And so I have a really, really long background in news. I did 12 years in Chicago, and then I've also done 12 years in upstate New York. And I remember one day I was sitting in the newsroom, and I just finished a shift, and I had a 19-year-old intern in there who'd been in with me the entire summer. And I had a really, really bad case of writer's block. It was just bad. And so I'm trying to write, and I'm just not getting anywhere. I keep deleting it and starting over and deleting it and starting over. And I wasn't trying to be arrogant. I just really, truly was stuck. And I knew what story I wanted to lead with, but I wasn't sure how to get into it. And so I looked up at the TV and I saw CNN, and they had a sentence that was exactly what I wanted to lead with. And so I wrote it down and started writing. I'm just banging it out, not really paying a lot of attention to the clock. I look at the clock, and I have 2 minutes until I'm on the air, and I have a white sheet of paper in front of me, and I turn and I look, and Lindsay, who's sitting next to me, has sweat going down the back of her neck. Like, she's really stressed. There's 5 million people that will be listening in like 90 seconds, and I am writing the very first story out of 10 that I have to write in 90 seconds, and then I have to go deliver it, and I haven't practiced it, I haven't timed it out, nothing, right? And so I'm writing, I'm just plowing through it and writing. And I get to the last story and I'm still writing, and the stinger goes off and it's time for me to go live. Like, gotta go right then. So I kind of leave that last story unfinished and I jump right into the newscast and I read the entire thing, and I had to say Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and all these really weird names and didn't make any mistakes. I got to the very end of the newscast, ended it perfectly to time. I get off the air, I turn my mic off. My heart is like 220 beats a minute, it's flying. And I lean back in my chair and I'm like, oh, I made it. And I look over at Lindsay and I have this smug look on my face. Like, it's a total ego moment for me. I'm completely ego tripping. I turn and I look at her and I say, hey, we made it. And she looks at me with a totally different look on her face. And she said, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing what you were called and created to do. And I looked at her, I was like, Lindsay, like, what do you mean? We just wrote 10 stories in 90 seconds and grabbed 7 pieces of tape and delivered a newscast flawlessly. Like, I'm in my zone here. I love this. I love the hunt. I love the writing. I love the pressure. I love the adrenaline. She's like, no, you're not. She's like, you've got it backwards. You've got this upside down. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, Sarah, God is always calling us to be stretched. We're always supposed to be stretched beyond our comfort zone, and you are way too comfortable. This comes way too easy for you. You're just going through the routine. Every day you come into this place and you do the same thing at the same time, and you're just walking through the motions of the routine. She goes, there isn't really any passion and there isn't really any joy, and you're definitely working outside of your calling, because if you were doing what God had called you to do, it would be a challenge every single day. You would have to lean on him every single day. It wouldn't just come like that. All right. She goes, God's always calling us to be stretched outside our comfort zone. And you are way too comfortable. Way too comfortable. And then she got up and she walked out. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking through what she just said. I love radio. Like, I was going to do radio till I was 95 and I sounded like Diane Rehm, and they kicked me off the airwaves. Like, that was my plan for my life, radio all the way to the end, because I just loved it. I love the thrill of being in the newsroom. It's like in my blood. But I sat there and I realized she's right. I am not scared in this environment. And I'm definitely not leaning on God in this environment. I'm going through the motions. Every single day I'm going through the motions of being here. And I'm so good at what I do that I don't have to think about what I'm doing. It just comes naturally to me. And what that means is I'm not leaning on God, right? And if I'm not leaning on him, then he can't grow me. Then I'm just sitting there and I'm just repeating my life. I'm on autopilot, basically. I love what I'm doing and I have joy in my job, but I'm on autopilot. Are you on autopilot? Is that the place where you're at? Are you doing the same thing again and again and again? Do you get up every day, same motions, right? Are you stretched beyond your comfort zone? Is your toe right over the edge? Do you have a little fear each day? Do you have to lean on the Lord to get you through the days? Because there's a lot in him and you can't do it without his help. If your answer is no to some of that stuff, then sit still and pause and be still, and just say, okay, God, what do you have for me? Like, what's the next thing? I left everything for that job. I left my family. We lived in Illinois for 5 generations. I picked up my babies, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. My husband, we got in a van. We drove across the country. We had lived in Illinois my entire life. I didn't know anything about New York, didn't know any people. I left everything for that job. And I'm there, 8 years. And then a 19-year-old comes and sits down next to me and says, you're doing the wrong thing with your life. After we have an amazing moment in the newsroom, right? It blew my doors off. I have to sneeze, sorry. No, I don't. It blew my doors off and I couldn't get her words out of my head. And so I went home and it was like a knife was between my shoulder blades. I went home and I just kept thinking about what she said. I'm like, am I in the wrong place? Did I leave my family for no reason? Like, that was 8 years ago, but did God intend for me to do something else? What is the something else? What if I don't know the something else? What if I can't plan the something else out, right? And I was scared and I was nervous and I was definitely afraid. And that was when I realized that God was already stretching me. All right, he was already stretching me. And so I went to my husband. He's my solid rock place. And I said, John, an intern came in today and told me that I'm supposed to leave radio. What do you think about that? And he goes, mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, now I'm in for it, because now he's been telling me this for a while and I haven't been listening to him, right? I haven't been listening to the wisdom and the words of my husband. He's like, oh yeah, so a 19-year-old comes in and tells you the things I've been telling you, and now you're going to listen to the 19-year-old, right? He said, Sarah, the job burns you out. You have nothing left for your family. You give everything to that newsroom. You get home between 10 and noon. You got 5 babies here that really need you, and you are a clocked out mom. You're a clocked out mom. You got nothing left for the family. And it's supposed to be family first and then your work, but it's not family first. You love that job so much that you're married to it. And then you get back home and you got nothing left for us. And by the end of the day, when I get home from work, you've given the last dregs you have to those kids and you have nothing left for me. And it's supposed to be God, spouse, kids, work, right? And it's completely upside down. It's work and then kids and then spouse, right? And I don't know where God's getting in there for you, but he goes, you're definitely upside down with this job. So he goes, I would really challenge you to pray about it. And I didn't like hearing those words. I was mad. I was angry. I was mad at God for 4 months. I was ticked at him. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't want to be close to God. I didn't want to be in church. I felt like he was taking away something that was very precious and very, very sacred to me. I was holding on to my job like this because my job was my identity. It was how I saw myself. I was this famous news anchor on Morning Drive on a massive Christian network. And that was my identity. And I came to this quiet place and I sat back and God's like, Sarah, here's the thing. Your identity is in me. It's not in your job title. It's not in mom. and having children. It's not in idolatizing your spouse. It's not in your talents and your hobbies and your running and the things that you do really well. Your identity is in me, right? And until you learn to rest in me, I'm going to withhold these other things from you, even things that you find joy in, because you have your eyes in the wrong place, right? And that was the day that God took radio away from me. And you know what? I don't regret it. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I don't miss it. Not like that. So I walked in the next day and I told my boss, I said, it's time for me to come off of morning drive. And he just leaned against the board and all the air went out of his lungs and he looked at me and he said, when? And I said, I'll give you 4 months to find somebody, but then I have to come off. And I ended up hanging around for about 2 years, filling in for them until they were able to bring another person in to do morning drive who's phenomenal and has way more than filled the shoes that I left there. He's an incredible anchor. And you know what's weird is I don't really feel a sense of loss. Of course, there's a sadness at not being there with the team every day and doing things that are fun, but God has allowed me to go in and fill in occasionally, and I feel like that piece of me is I still get to go and be creative. But you know what I do get to enjoy? I get to enjoy sitting up with my teenagers and talking to them at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, I couldn't do that when I had to get up at 3, and I get to go on dates with my husband. And I get to go on a 1-hour walk every single day with my spouse and just talk with him. Like, I get to do that. I have time to get to the crafts in our homeschool curriculum, which we never had time to do. I got to watch my older 2 kids graduate. Instead of being a clocked out mom, I got to actually spend the last 2 years with them. We homeschooled since they were 3 years old. For 11th and 12th grade, we traveled the world. We went to Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Australia, as I was building my business and had that freedom. But more importantly, I was here for them. I was listening to them. I'm texting them back and forth and just being silly with them and horsing around. And I'm there, I'm present. And so am I sad that I'm not in radio every day? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I'm sad that I'm not in radio every single day. But then I turn around and I look at the legacy that I've left with these kids. And 2 weeks ago, being able to watch them walk with their cap and gown, right? It's just, there's no replacement for that. There's no replacement for that. And I realized that the Lord had called me out of the slavery of that 9-to-5 job, even though it was a wonderful job and wonderful people and a wonderful place that I was working. He called me out of that slavery so that, number one, he could teach me to lean on him. Number two, that I was stretched every single day and not just going through the motions and wasn't on autopilot. And number three, so that I could be my best me, right? So that I grew into this place where I had time to take care of me and my body and time to spend with my spouse and time to see my kids out the door and be that present mom. And I'm so glad that I didn't stay in a place of fear. And I'm so glad that I didn't let radio be my only identity, that I turned my chin up toward the skies, right? And let God do the leading instead of me doing the leading. And so if you're in that place, and you're not really sure what the next thing is for you, all right? And you do feel kind of broken, and you don't have a clear identity, and you feel a little stuck, and you're a little overwhelmed. I had all those emotions the day that I walked away from radio, and I just want to tell you, it's better on the other side, right? That release, not holding on to things like this, but that release, it feels good. Right? It feels good. So if you're scared, it's okay to be scared. And if you're challenged, it's okay to be challenged. And if you're outside your comfort zone and you're stretched, it's definitely okay to be stretched. And you have to lean on God to get through your day, then that's okay too. All those things are okay. And if you screw up, that's okay too. You're going to make mistakes, right? All those things are okay. Let's do the journey together. For the next 3 weeks, let's walk this thing together, hand in hand. Let me show you what freedom looks like, right? Not to give you Young Living as another tool of a thing that's going to own you or another thing that's going to become your identity, because we talked about that, your identity is in Christ, right? It's not for that. The purpose is to get you walking away from the things that are holding you in bondage, going a different direction and saying, okay, Lord, here I am. Here I am. Use me. I'll be obedient. Here I am. So here we go. It's Ignite time. We're going to set your teams on fire. Let go of some of that stuff that we're holding on to that we deem is our identity, right? Release it and walk, right? And walk. So one day of Ignite Bootcamp down. Tomorrow will be quite a bit shorter. We're not going to go anywhere near this long. We'll keep these to less than 30 minutes. And I want you to read chapter 1, which is sharing. right? We're going to start right at the beginning with the nuts and bolts. Let me leave you with just a quick prayer over all of you guys, because I love you deeply, and I believe that you all have what it takes to go all the way in this, all right? I don't say that because I'm trying to make promises to you. I say it because I believe in you, right? I believe in you. But you cannot go through every single day and not share oils. That is the foundation and the cornerstone of every single thing that we do. This book isn't just for your leaders, it's for you too. So I want you to read it as a gut check and look at the things that you're not doing, right? And take it to heart first for yourself, and then duplicate it across your team. But it starts with you, right? It starts in here, in these deep places that you're still holding on to tightly. We got to let those things go. Put your hand out like this. Open your hand up and release the things that you're holding on to so tightly. So, dear Jesus, I just pray over these super brave men and women on the Ignite training. God, I just pray the peace that passes all understanding over them, that you ignite a fire and a flame in them over these next 3 weeks that just gives us some unquenchable thirst to share, that just gets them fired up on Young Living. But I think even more than that, God, that you bring us to this place where we are humbled before you. We realize that we need you, that we can't get through our day without you, that if we're on autopilot, we're doing the wrong thing. We're spending our time the wrong way, God. And give us a conviction to move our feet, and a conviction to do hard things, and a conviction to open our palms to the sky and release the things that we're holding on to so tightly, because God, those things it doesn't honor you. It doesn't honor you, and our worlds are upside down, and it's not God, spouse, kids work, Lord. It's the other way around. And so I just pray for stirring of the Spirit, Lord, that you bring us to a place where we're ready to release. Our oil of the night tonight is 3 wise men. I want you to put that all over yourself, and in Jesus' name, we release the stress around our mornings and our days. We release the routine. We release the autopilot, God. We release our definition of our identity of who we are, and we're ready to step into something greater and to do hard things and things that scare us. Because you know who we are, even though we don't know who we are. We are a pawn with the shadow of a king, right? A pawn with the shadow of the king. In Jesus' name, amen. I believe in you guys. Go put some 3 wise men on tonight. Release some of that stuff. Release some of that identity holding that you're doing. And let's jump right in tomorrow night into sharing. Okay, nuts and bolts. We're going to just blow right through this and do the hard things. The things we want all our leaders to do for us, we're going to do them first and set the example for our team and double the number of enrollers, right? I believe in you guys. Thank you for joining me for the first night of Ignite training. Go get your books. You got plenty of time. We're doing this for the next 3 weeks. Tag your leaders in this video. Have them watch it, and let's go through this together, okay? Let's ignite all of our teams and all of Young Living all over again. Bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night.